Welcome to the BusinessLNK podcast. We're here in the AOI Podcast Studio. My name is Abby Bartholomew, and I am the Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship here at LPED, and this is Jake Christensen. Tell us about your company.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Abby. So I am the founder and CEO of MicroFarm OS. The OS stands for Operating System. So we are actually building the operating system for micro producers for an urban and a suburban agriculture. So what we do is we actually help backyard farmers or cottage food producers list, sell, and coordinate food within the community.
Okay, for anyone who doesn't know, can you define what a cottage producer
Cottage food?
is? Yeah.
Sure. Most states have a cottage food license. So cottage food is just stable, shelf-stable food that doesn't require any time or temperature regulations. It's things like sourdough bread. I know sourdough bread is trending right now thanks to Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift just makes everything trending, whether it's football or bread.
Yeah.
Anyway, so dried foods, berries, nuts, things like that, but also like foods that you can preserve. And there are some restrictions that people can do on a cottage food license, and you actually need to be get a cottage food license through the state. It's and a food handler's permit to do that.
I've done that
through.
permitting process before.
Did you? What was that like?
Not bad. I mean, it's like an online. They make it. They try to make it fun. Yeah.
So give me the 2-second overview of.
Oh my gosh, I did it a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I don't even know if I could tell you. I mean, it was a lot of it is stuff you expect, but other thing, is
it like washing hands and
food has to be this temperature? But there are very specific rules around food has to be cooked to this temperature, sure, but it can only be, in a warmer for this long, and then you have to throw it away and stuff like that. So, there was some stuff that didn't apply to my situation, so I kind of took notes and then stored them in a notebook. Okay, awesome. Well, tell us what gave you this idea and how did you get here?
Sure. So about a year ago, I have a garden in my backyard. About a year ago, I was planting my tomato starts, and I had 30 some or so tomatoes, and my garden is 200 square feet, so I can't even plant any of these. So I was just standing there in my garden. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I plant all of these tomatoes, I'm gonna have way too much, because a couple of years ago I planted everything and I just let it all grow wild, and I had buckets and pails full of these amazing cherry tomatoes, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do it again. So I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, okay, maybe there's got to be a better way where I can share this extra surplus that I have with my community members. And I was just thinking, I'm like, even if it's just the 10 neighboring neighbors that I can share it with. And then it just started to expand as I started to dive into the whole food economy, what it was, the supply chain. I stumbled across the city of Lincoln actually wrote a food plan, and that was pretty detailed.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, there's a real need for local food production. Almost every city in America and really the world imports most of their food, and they discovered this real need of producing food locally to shrink the supply chain to make it more resilient. And so I was like, okay, maybe I can just activate the food that's currently being grown. And I discovered that there's this overlooked resource that there's tons of food in the neighborhoods that are being grown in these regenerative garden beds, and most people have surpluses, and then there's millions of people all over the United States that also produce cottage food, so it's home cooked food is really what it is. And these folks have recipes from their grandma from 1914 or something like that, and they're like, we have this sourdough starter from 1942, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And it's just been hidden.
Yeah.
And I want to, bring it to the surface. So I'm building a platform to help these producers bring local food, make it easier and trusted and buyable, so the local buyers can discover them, can trust, when it was produced, help with the coordination and the timing and everything. So
I love this because I love a lot of vegetables and things. I do not have a green thumb. It is not one of my strengths.
Yeah.
So I love this idea. Can you talk a little bit about, because I know there's the, person to person aspect, but you've also gotten some business interest in.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Sure. So like you, most people want as much fresh produce in their diet as possible. What most people really don't know is how that produce was made or produced, or where it was produced or who it was produced. They just go to the grocery store and all of a sudden, the shelves are stocked, but they have no idea how it was made or what kind of chemicals were used to make it. And people today are more health conscious than ever before. There's been a 400% increase in farmers markets just in the last 20 years. And so so gardening is probably one of the healthiest activities that you can do, not only with the food that you grow out of your own garden is probably the most nutrient dense. Food is allowed to ripen on the vine. And so, and then when you eat it right away, when you go straight from, that's the ultimate, farm to table type thing is, garden to table. It's picked within minutes or hours, and then you're eating it. And so all the nutrients are just, you're getting all the nutrients. So the interest, of course, is just, people and families. But last fall, I participated in the I-Corps Customer Discovery Program. I-Corps is a program through the National Science Foundation that works with major universities that are, that have a ton of scientists that are discovering the new scientific method, alpha wave, whatever, right? So they have new technology, but most of these scientists had no idea how to translate that technology into a workable business plan. So anyway, I was in this program, and the whole purpose of this program is to discover what the ecosystem is, what the customers actually want, why they want it, when they want it, et cetera. And so I set out and I interviewed, average families that go to farmers markets. I also interviewed as many local restaurants as I possibly could. One in particular, out in the Piedmont area, that I asked him, I'm like, so why, do you guys buy local? And he's like, not really. We have one product that we get local. And I'm like, why not? And he told me really the thing that kind of defines our whole business plan. He said, Jake, I don't know where the farmers are. And he said, even if I did, I don't know what they're growing.
Right.
And even if I knew both of those things, I don't know when it's going to be available. So there's no way that I can plan my my menu ingredients and make sure that I have enough ingredients for the weekend rush. I need to know those things. So he has to go through organizations like Cisco and US Foods and stuff, which source their ingredients from all over the place. And so that's why food is being shipped, 2,000 miles across continents. And it really is. Shoot, I lost my train of thought. What was your
I was curious about their interest because and I would imagine this gives them not only that local resource, but then they can have some feel for supply amount.
So how it works is folks who we're selecting folks that really have biohacked their backyard into a small micro farm type thing that usually have a surplus, that want to make an extra income, on the side or whatever. So they would have a way to earn an income. They could list the extra, food for sale or whatever, and we could track the timing. We could allow them to pick when it was harvested or if there's a future harvest. So the buyers, as they're shopping through, the foods that they see first are the foods that were harvested this morning or recently nearest them. So it's, shrinking that food miles down to zero.
Yeah.
And then it really expands it out. And the more and more growers we get, the better and stronger the network will be. I can anticipate that this will support food that will be optimized for flavor profile and freshness rather than shelf life and, pesticide resistance type things. So, which is something that I hope to have on my dinner table. Yeah. So the green beans that I, source and bring home and I saute with my, chicken piccata or whatever, can come from a backyard garden. Yeah. And they were picked fresh that morning. And anybody that has ever eaten food fresh out of the garden knows exactly what I'm talking about. And I ask this question all the time. Have you ever had a tomato fresh out of the garden?
I don't know if I have.
Okay. Well, have you ever had any kind of food out of the garden?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And most people tell me that the food that they had out of the garden always tastes better than the grocery store. But why do you think that is?
Freshness?
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so that's a phenomenon that everybody knows is that freshness, straight out of the garden is always better. So it's a superior quality. That's something that, you can't find in any grocery store. And so that's one thing that I'm really excited about bringing to market.
Yeah. Awesome. I want to switch gears and talk about the LaunchLNK grant for a minute. So quickly, for listeners, I'll say what that is. So we have a grant program called LaunchLNK. Each year we select 6 recipients. They each get $20,000 in non-dilutive funds to put into their startup. So you were one of the 2026 winners. I'd love to hear your take on what that has helped you unlock, how that has been helpful for you. A
lot. So the LaunchLNK grant did a whole bunch. The first thing that it really did is it accelerated the process from idea to actually bringing something to life.
Sure.
So, 20,000 is not, an insane amount, but it goes a long way. Yeah. And so I was able to actually leverage that and unlock a statewide prototype grant, which allows us to build an ag-related software platform that will allow us to, support these backyard farmers.
Yeah.
And so I think that that process has been its perfect timing, has allowed us to really accelerate, how we bring it to market and the programs that we were able to bring to life. And I think also the partnership with the city. So one thing that I'm really excited about, since, LaunchLNK is with the chamber in the city, and the city has this food plan. I'm really excited about growing MicroFarm OS right here in Lincoln. Yeah. So not only helping support that food plan, but also being the test market for something that could, expand out of it.
Yeah.
And could be, the origin story of, how local food came to life.
Yeah. Oh, and earlier when you were saying, it keeps food local and people and businesses can source locally. Also, from an economic perspective, it's keeping dollars local.
Oh, yeah.
Which is also amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when you think about the statistic, I keep hearing all over in the whole food ecosystem, 90% of our food is imported from out of state.
Crazy.
And when you think of a major city, you can expand that. It's like 99%. I have no idea what the actual percentage is, but that's a lot. So 90 to 95% of the food in cities is being imported from outside the city. And so all of those dollars are going out to the producer and to the supply chain. And it's interesting. Currently in agriculture, 20 cents of every dollar actually makes it back to the producer itself. So that means 80% is split up between the trucking company and the cold storage and the supply chain and, ultimately the retailer and whatnot. With this model, it just kind of flips the script, and it activates an overlooked resource. Most agriculture producers don't really look at backyard gardens just because it's such a small scale that they're like, what's the use? However, I knew that I could supply my 10 nearest neighbors with more tomatoes than they could eat. So I could probably supply, maybe 25, 30. So if there were just a patchwork of producers all over the city and each one was supplying 20 or 30 of their neighbors, then that is substantial. And moving into the future, this is something that is definitely needed, not only for the safety and security of our supply chain and foods, because if there's another world disaster or something that happens, pandemic or whatever, and we go to the grocery store and the food aisle is as bare as the toilet paper aisle, then that's a big problem. So becoming more and more self-sufficient, rather than just starting cold and, having people just throw a bunch of seeds into the ground, hoping that, it would grow. We're really going to activate these backyard farmers who have been growing regeneratively for their own families, give them a platform where they can share and support their community around them. But also these cottage food producers, taking some of these products and turning them into, shelf stable and really, when you think about it, it's, fresher food, faster, local, 0 food miles. There's just so many benefits to growing our own food in the city. And now today, like never before, we have technology that can actually enable that to happen. And so I'm really excited about bringing that technology to this need and doing it in Lincoln. So.
Going back to the I-Corps program, I'm curious, was there anything in your customer discovery that surprised you, or did it just kind of validate what you were already thinking, based on your experience?
A lot of it surprised me. I guess, let me think through. I'm gonna just kind of riff here, I guess. The farmers market folks, I asked them, I'm like, why do you come to the farmers market? And a lot of the folks said, hey, I like to walk around and shop. So it led me to believe that a lot of people go to the farmers market for the experience, not necessarily the food. The food is like a secondary. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'm here, I'll, get some food. But there are a lot of people that are very health conscious and they want to source very clean, healthy, organic, ingredients. Restaurants and families alike. And speaking with restaurants, I was actually kind of surprised that very few of them actually purchase local. There was a couple of them that said that they go to the farmers market occasionally, and to get like 1 or 2 ingredients, but not really anything. They get most of their ingredients from a distributor like Cisco or US Foods because it's so convenient. But in trading off the convenience factor, they're, trading it off for the price and the quality. So, many times they're getting things that were harvested 2 weeks prior or, sat in a warehouse at a cold storage for a month or 2 before it actually ends up on their plate. So it was that restaurateur that I spoke with that told me, hey, I would buy local. If I knew where they were, what they were growing, but most importantly, when it's available. And so translated, to me that spoke, it's like, okay, so if it was easier for him to be able to find the food, but also it sounded like he needed the trust factor. He needed to know.
Sure.
So he needed a way to be able to see, maybe how it was grown, but also like how it was harvested or freshness, just some kind of shortcut that he knows that, hey, if I buy this, 10 pounds of whatever, radishes or mint or basil or whatever for the restaurant, that it would be the best quality ingredients for his chefs. And I guess I intuitively know all about that because I'm the chef of my family. And most families have one chef, whether it's the mom or the dad or, if they actually have an in-home chef, that would be cool, by the way, right? Someday we're going to have robots doing it. Maybe. That could be neat. Anyway, so I discovered, I was surprised that most restaurants, they, no matter how much of a desire they wanted their fresh ingredients, they couldn't get away from the convenience factor of knowing what's available when. There were a few restaurants that were all about price. There was one restaurant where I was kind of shocked to hear that he sourced his ingredients from places like Sam's Club and Walmart, and not everything, but he would go and get, and I'm like, well, like, why? And his reasoning was, hey, I can actually touch and I can feel and I know what's the freshest. So, if I pick this thing, it's the freshest for my patrons. But I was just still thinking, like he doesn't really know how it was produced or where it was produced. Or
I just heard the other day a statistic that like Costco specifically, I don't know about Sam's Club, but they have like additional food regulation on top of the FDA. That's a tangent, but apparently they are very strict with their food regulation. I don't know. Interesting tidbit. Still not the same as getting it like fresh from the source.
All these regulations are all about inspections from somebody, and those inspections happen once a year, once every 18 months. I know it's dollars and cents on an industrial scale, and here's the thing: I fully respect the agriculture technology, and the agriculture that we've been able to develop has allowed us to feed 8 billion people all over the world, even with the surplus. And we still have a surplus. Like we could actually produce more than what we're producing today with the technology that we have, but the hidden costs are starting to catch up to us. So the hidden cost of spraying entire countrysides, it's not even just an acre or two. It's like, most of Nebraska is plowed under fields. And, food production, most of our food comes from Arizona, California, Mexico, and other places like that. There's little pockets of Georgia and Florida and things like that. So all of that is just, it's being shipped all over the place. And so far, agriculture has stood on really two main pillars. It's, the economies of scale to drive down price as cheap as humanly possible. And, cheap farmland where they can plow up, 10 million acres and they can plant a monocrop. But the hidden cost to the environment, to the world, to our food itself, is starting to catch up with us in the form of not only the environment, but the waterways and the rivers and, the food that we ingest. Like we don't know what kind of chemicals or how, like, where is it at? And, there's a thing called the Dirty Dozen. It's a dozen foods that are the most chemical. And then there's foods that are like the safest. And those foods usually have like a protective coating, like an orange, for example.
Like banana,
a banana, orange, pineapple. Those things are the like least chemical free, but the ones that you eat, like apples and strawberries. And I was actually surprised to hear that spinach is actually one of those, but I guess bugs like spinach, and so farmers spray the heck out. So yeah, and quite honestly, Abby, I must admit that I kind of scare the agriculture community a little bit when I start talking about chemicals. But I hear that all the time in the community. I just gave a presentation in Omaha, and one of the questions was, how do you guys ensure quality? How do you know that people aren't using chemicals and things like that? And I'm like, why is having zero chemical food, important to you?
Yeah.
And, it was pretty obvious. He's like, well, because I want to ingest the healthiest things, and cancer prevalent rise. And I know that's on everybody's mind, whether they want to talk about it or not.
Yep.
And again, I fully respect, agriculture and what has the technology that has gotten us here. But that's not enough to get us to the future.
Right.
So we need to start looking at other ways. And I love this simple novel way of getting back into our garden to be able to deliver food locally.
Yeah.
And I'm just building simple tools to make growers who love growing in regenerative practices grow the best food, healthiest food possible.
Yeah.
And make it easy for buyers to be able to find them and for that connection to happen.
Yeah. Well, and I think if we're looking at it holistically, we're just diversifying food sources too. Like, we're not overthrowing, age-old agricultural systems necessarily, but like adding an additional food source for people,
Yeah.
And like you said, if something catastrophic happens, we have alternative.
We have a backup plan.
Yeah, resources for things.
Right. We don't have to start from scratch.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's really important to build systems like this. And I am really grateful that the City of Lincoln and LPED and the Chamber of Commerce saw the importance in this and invested in this. I'm working as fast as I possibly can to bring it out. We're 10 days to 2 weeks from launching a soft launch of a pilot.
Ask.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm really excited. I just started posting a couple things on in Facebook groups saying, hey, I'm working with, these organizations, and my job is to find where the food is.
Yeah.
And if you are somebody who grows food in your backyard and has a surplus, or somebody that makes, homemade food in your kitchen, your cottage food kitchen, sign up on our waiting list. Yeah. And within a week, we had 100 plus in just like just a couple posts. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is a signal that there is a need that is being unmet. So I'm really excited about that. I've already went out and met some of these folks. They share some of the same excitement, the same values for food that I hear a lot of folks, just healthy, organic, local food that they can trust. Yeah. And the trust in food has kind of been broken. So people are really hungry for the trust to be back, and trusting somebody in their neighborhood is something that, I think the folks are going to pick up on easily. So,
I was going to ask, in this beta test that you're doing, are you just testing from the grower standpoint first to try to kind of like fine tune that side of things, or are you testing that side and the buyer side? Is it like full end to end?
Good question. We're really testing the loop of local food.
Got it. Okay.
The very simple thing is that, can we find people that grow food?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we bring them onto a platform? Will those growers list food? Okay, so that's something that we're testing. And how much, how often do they list food? And then will buyers, what are their habits on shopping?
Yeah.
Will they actually make real transactions happen? And then can we, deliver quickly and easily? And if we can make that process simple, and if we hear the signal of people saying, hey, that was easy, I want to do it again, or, I got these tomatoes, these were amazing, and I definitely want to get on the waiting list for the next harvest that this producer has, or, this rare pepper of some kind, or there's a gentleman that has a grapevine. It's a Concord grapevine, and these are different than the Concord grapes that you get in the grocery store. All of the grapes that I've ever had in the grocery store have always been like seedless.
Sure.
And they just, I don't know, it just tastes,
they're okay. Process something,
they just taste like liquidy and, cardboardy or whatever. But I had these grapes grown here in Lincoln, and they were juicy, and it kind of had like a slimy texture, but it was like one of those gushers. Have you ever had a gusher? But it was like the healthiest grape that you can get, I guess.
Has it ruined all other grapes
and
for
it
you?
ruined all other grapes. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't go back.
Yeah.
All the other grapes are just inferior compared to this locally grown Concord grape.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this whole wall of grapes, and there had to be hundreds of pounds. And so I'm really excited about discovering food like that being grown in the middle of Lincoln here, and helping find a home for it, and bringing local food to people's tables, local food to people's favorite restaurants.
Yes.
We have a bunch of restaurants who are signed up on the waiting list, who want to start, sourcing their onions, their chives, their basil, cilantro locally. So not only supporting local, but getting the freshest.
Well, and a lot of I can think of several restaurants that also have like rotating menus, so I can see I'm sure they'll be cyclical ingredients they're looking for. And
there's what's the term I'm trying to think of? It's like a timely, in season. So there's most food comes in season. So if restaurants knew what is coming up.
Yep.
But also knew what could be available, they could actually hey, I want to order, these ingredients, the squash and the zucchini and the onions and stuff, so I can make the ratatouille, and I can, plan and prepare for that. They'll absolutely be able to do that. And that's just, so at first, Abby, we're building a marketplace, but the larger vision is to build the whole software layer for local food production, throw some intelligence on top of that, so we can predict supply and demand, and we can lower that cost and make easy access greater for everybody.
Yeah. Awesome. It's so exciting. Well, where can people find you, and how can they get on the wait list if they want?
Sure. So they can find us online, MicroFarmOS.com. And right now you can find a waiting list. As soon as we open up the beta app, you'll be able to find a link on the website to sign up and actually create a profile if you're growing food. The onboarding process will walk you through all the compliance, most of the compliance is built in right into the app. So if you're cottage food and you want to be compliant, you'll be able to go through this step-by-step process on how to do that. The website, you can find us on socials. If you hear about us in, Facebook, please share, comment, help us get the word out.
Awesome. Anything else? Any parting words?
Any parting words?
Anything we didn't touch on?
The community here has been wonderful. It's been a support. And I think if you have an idea, try not to think whether or not it's a, good or bad idea. Just just work towards it. Get plugged in. There's tons of open coffees.
Yeah.
There's lots of community members. So as long as you're asking questions, as long as you're showing up and meeting people, and you'll be able to make progress on something. And the community is wonderful here.
Yep, I agree.
Between the university and the agriculture and the startup community and the chamber helping, make those connections. This is a really exciting time. So a lot of good things are going to come out of this.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thanks for having me. And I'm excited to see what the future brings us.